Today we learned to locate fractions and decimals on number lines. Today we are going to learn to use a number line to compare and order the fractions and decimals. So at the top of your 2-column notes, if you would please write comparing and ordering fractions and decimals. This lesson corresponds to 2 teaks that we will write our I can statement with. The first teak is 4.2c. 4.2c says I can compare and order fractions using objects and models. Again, our verbs is to compare and order. And the other teak that we will be learning today is 4.2d, where we can relate decimals to fractions that name tenths and hundredths using objects and models. So here our verb is to relate the decimals to fractions that name tenths and hundredths. Push pause. Let's try our first example. We're going to make a chart. And this is going to be labeled, let's try that again, distances to my best friend's house. Here's my BFF's house. And I have Rita, I have Bobby, and I have Kendra. And the distance to Rita's house is 0 and 7/10 of a mile. Bobby's distance is 1/10 of a mile. And Kendra is 0 and 3/10 of a mile. Push pause to write your chart. Let's look at our data. We know that 0 and 7/10 is the same thing as 7/10 in fraction form. And we know that 1/10 in decimal form is 0 and 1/10. And we know 3/10, 0 and 3/10 in fraction form is 3/10 and written like so. If we take a look at our data here, we need to decide when we draw our number line, how many parts should we make that number line? Well, we are going to make them by 10 because all of these are in tenths. So we are going to draw our number line. And here's 0. And here would be 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10, 6/10, 7/10, 8/10, 9/10, and 10/10 is the number 1. Push pause. At the top of the number line, I am going to write the fractional parts in decimal form. So this would be 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10, 6, 7/10, 8/10, 9/10. Well, let's look at our data. We have Rita at 7/10 of a mile. So if I find 7/10 here, there's Rita. Bobby is at 1/10, so there's that point on the number line. That's Bobby. And Kendra is at 3/10. If I want to compare and order our fractions, I know that Bobby at 1/10 of a mile is less than Kendra at 0 and 3/10 of a mile, and that is less than Rita at 7/10 of a mile. And that is how you order fractions and decimals and compare them. And this time we ordered them from least to greatest. Push pause. Let's look at a second example. Which container is the largest? Compare, here's our verbs, and order the containers from, and this time we are going to compare and order them greatest to least. Push pause. Let's draw our chart. We have our juice containers, and we have, our first one is going to be a glass bottle. The second one will be a plastic bottle. The next one will be a can, and the last will be a juice box. The glass bottle is 6/10 of a liter. The plastic bottle is 0 and 5/10 of a liter. The can is 0 and 7/10 of a liter. And the juice box is 2/10 of a liter. Push pause to draw your chart. Now again, if I look at my data here, all of these are broken up into tenths, or 10 equal part. And I know that 6/10 equals 0 and 6/10 for the glass. Let's write glass. The plastic is 0 and 5/10, and that could be written as 5, the fractional part 5/10. The can is 0 and 7/10, which can be written in the fractional parts 7/10. And the juice box is 2/10 fractional part and 0 and decimal point 2. Now, if I draw my number line, again, these fractional parts are going to be between 0 and 1. So here's 0, and I know they're in 10 equal parts, because my fraction tells me that. So if I count 1, this is 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10, 6/10, 7/10, 8/10, 9/10, and 10/10 again would be 1 whole. Let's continue our number line. At the top of the number line, I could write those in decimal parts. That would be 0.1, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10, 6/10, 7/10, 8/10, 9/10, and 1 whole. Push pause to draw your number line. Let's take a look at our data again. The glass is 6/10, so right here is the glass. The plastic is 5/10. Here's 5/10. I'll draw dots on there. The can is 7/10. And our juice box is just 2/10. So I'll put JB for juice box. If I want to compare, because remember those are our verbs, and order the containers, this time from greatest to least, I can write the largest is the can. And the can was represented by 0 and 7/10 decimal form. And that is greater than the next, which would be the glass bottle, which is written as fractional form, 6/10. And that is greater than 5/10, which is written as a decimal, 0 and 5/10. And that is greater than the juice box, which is written as a fraction as 2/10. So the order for this would be a can is greater than the glass, and the glass is greater than the plastic bottle, and the plastic bottle is greater than the juice box. Push pause. Patrons, if you go back to your I can statement, you can see that you are able to compare and order fractions, and we will also be able to relate fractions that name tenths and hundredths by here. We will practice tomorrow. Have a good evening.